Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. My guests today are with NC Women United. That's a coalition of organizations and individuals working for the full political, social, and economic equality of all women across North Carolina. With us again are Tara Romano, president of the group, and Emma Akpan, director of policy. Before the break, we were talking about some of the successes and some of the things that still need to be worked on when it comes to women's issues here in North Carolina. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the concerns coming up for this next legislative session. What are some of the things? I know you have your report card that will be issued. Talk a little bit about when people can expect that to come out and how they can use that as a tool to talk with their lawmakers.
Well, that will be coming out at the end of April because the session starts mid-May, and so we'll be releasing this before the session starts. And then we'll have that on our website, and people can actually go to our website right now and look to see what the 2013 agenda was. Now, I will say that agenda, we didn't know, it was released last April, so we certainly didn't have everything on there that ended up being a part of that session. But some of that will make it onto our report card. But they can go look it up when the report card's released, and it's got the bill numbers on there. It's we have it partitioned in the ways that, you know, goes with these different issues like violence against women, economic security. So they can look at those issues. And then they can always just go to the North Carolina General Assembly website, look up their representative, figure out how he or she voted on these bills. And if they would like to talk to them about how they voted on those bills, we always encourage women to do that. Because, of course, a representative isn't going to please each and every constituent in his or her district, but they do have a responsibility to hear the voices of their constituents so that they know what they're thinking and they know how they can best serve them.
Absolutely, and if they don't speak up, then essentially they're not participating in the political process.
And that's what we want them to do. Everyone deserves to have their voice heard.
So once they get that information online, what is the best way for them to contact their state lawmakers?
Well, like we said, they can look them up online and call them. You can also visit your lawmaker. They're perfectly okay to do that. Anybody can go.
I think a lot of people don't know that, don't realize that.
Most people who lobby every day or visit their lawmakers are just people telling their stories. Tell them how you feel about the certain bills or how it's affecting you and your family. It's our right to do that. And please, women, please do all that.
And I know that NC Women United has been holding a Women's Advocacy Day at the state legislature for a number of years. Talk about the impact of that day and the work that goes into that day and the information that's shared.
Yeah, well, it's usually during the long session, and I only attended my first time last year, and it made me feel like I had a voice. I had a say in the legislative process, and I went and visited my lawmakers, my representatives, and they were just people just like me, and I can talk to them and tell them how I feel. So I hope that all women have that experience at our legislative day.
And with part of that, when we have all those women come together from across the state, it's a good opportunity to meet other women who are also in your district. And so sometimes some people, especially if they haven't done it before, they just feel more comfortable going as a group. You know, you can go 2, 3, 4, or 5 of you to visit your representative. You know, maybe one person who feels more comfortable talking, but the others are there just for moral support to say, you know, what she says I agree with. So we feel like that's also a good way to sort of introduce women to it who haven't maybe done it before and who still feel a little nervous about the process.
And there is a women's assembly coming up. People can get involved that way as well. They can create their own assemblies?
Yes, you can create a women's assembly anywhere in the state, in your county. If you want to organize one, you can contact us and tell us how it's going. We could come out and visit you and just get women together to talk about things that are important to you. Women's issues run the gamut. We have a lot of issues. It's not limited to domestic violence and reproductive rights. We care about voting rights, and we care about gun violence, and we care about the economy. And we just want to hear from women across the state, and especially maybe even some women in the western part of the state. And I know we haven't talked about environmental issues all that much, but I know they're concerned about the environment and the mountains and the coal out there. So if you don't get your assembly together, we can't hear that.
Right, absolutely. You make a great point. So they should contact you. They can contact you either by your website
Yes.
or calling your number, and you can kind of walk them through how to assemble the assembly. And then once a group is assembled and their issues are discussed, how do they get them to you?
Well, we do have a lot of information about helping them plan the assembly. Like we do have a little bit of a process. So, and we will also provide them a draft agenda, which we get from our members who say, these are the things that we think are going to come before the long session starting next year. So these are some things, just some starting points, you know, and educates the women at the assemblies on some of these issues, but also gets them to start thinking about some things. But then when the coordinators will end up, they will sort of collect the information that is gathered. That's part of what, when you have a planning committee to plan the assemblies in these different areas, you know, part of what you're supposed to do is collect the information that the women are talking about. And, you know, you can do it formally, like sort of voting on what everyone thinks is important, or you can just kind of collect all these different issues on some paper and then share it with us so that we can collect and see what women are talking about across the state.
Right. And again, the best way to reach you at NC Women United.
Yes, it's www.ncwu.org, or you can call us at 866-518-7657.
Okay, and those are definitely ways to reach you. Lots of information. Look for that report card to be released toward the end of April.
Yes.
The legislative session starts in mid-May, so they can start contacting their lawmakers and talking about these issues.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you both so much for the work that you are doing for women and families across the state. Emma Akpan, Tara Romano, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, send us a message on our Facebook page or an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.